Hey there designers, Renee here with a Photoshop tutorial for a poster advertising an art class called Quick Draw, the Art of the Doodle. We're going to have a blast scribbling, doodling, layering, staining, and generally creating an attractive mess. Follow along by downloading the freebie pack at designcuts.com. Open Photoshop and go to File, New. In the New Document dialog box, name your file, enter a width of 18 inches, a height of 24 inches, set your resolution to 300 ppi and your color mode to RGB, then click OK to create the document. We'll start with a background image. Go to File, Place Linked. Navigate to the Unember Freebies folder and select Original 1, then press Place. Use the corner handles to increase the size until it fills the entire artboard, and press Enter when you're done. Now we'll add a few paint or ink stains. Go to File, Place Linked, navigate to the Julia Dreams Freebies folder, select Simple Shape 12 and press Place. At the top left of the artboard next to the width, enter 500%, then click the link icon between width and height to maintain the aspect ratio, and press Enter. Position the stain on the far left of the artboard, centered vertically. Open the Layers palette, and at the top of the palette, change the blend mode to multiply, and next to opacity, enter 30%. In the Layers palette, select the Simple Shape 12 layer and drag it down to the Create a New Layer icon at the bottom of the palette to duplicate it. On the artboard, drag the duplicate stain to the bottom right side of the artboard so it's just barely visible. Go to File, Place Linked. In the Julia Dreams Freebies folder, select Simple Shape 43 and press Place. Position the stain on the far left of the artboard toward the top and mostly off the artboard, and press Enter when you're done. At the top of the Layers palette, change the blend mode to multiply and the opacity to 30%. In the Layers palette, select the Simple Shape 43 layer and drag it down to the Create a New Layer icon at the bottom of the palette to duplicate it. On the artboard, drag the duplicate stain to the bottom of the artboard so it's only partially showing. Now create another duplicate of Simple Shape 43 by dragging it down to the Create a New Layer icon. Position this one at the top right of the artboard a bit more visible. At the top of the Layers palette, reduce the opacity to 20%. Now go to File, Place Linked. Again in the Julia Dreams folder, select Simple Shape 53 and press Place. Position this one in the middle right of the artboard just above center and press Enter. At the top of the Layers palette, change the blend mode to multiply and the opacity to 50%. At the bottom of the Layers palette, click the Add Layer Mask icon. Click on the layer mask thumbnail that appears on the layer, and select the Brush tool. At the top left of the artboard, click the Brush Preview to open the Brush Preset Picker, and select the Soft Round brush. To the right of the Brush Preview, change the opacity to 20%. Press D to set your foreground color to white and background to black, then press X to toggle so black is your foreground color. Anywhere we paint black on a layer mask will be hidden and anything white will show. On your keyboard, press the right bracket key several times until the size of your brush is increased to about 500 pixels. On the artboard, brush over the top section of the stain several times until it begins to blend with the paper. If you overdo it, just hit the X on the keyboard to toggle back to a white foreground color and brush over the area you want to have more visible. In the Layers palette, select the top layer, Simple Shape 53, then hold Shift and select the bottom layer, Original 1. At the bottom of the palette, click the Create a New Group icon. Double-click the name of the group and rename it Background. Now click the Create a New Group icon again. Name the new group Cowboy. Go to File, Place Linked, and navigate to Crayon Characters Freebies in the Wings Art folder and press Place. At the top left of the artboard next to width, enter 125%, then click the link icon between width and height. Position the cowboy at the bottom left of the artboard. In the Layers palette, drag the Crayon Characters freebie layer into the cowboy group. Now we'll add some text inside the roped area. Select the Type tool, click once inside the rope at the top right, and type, "Giddy up on over and rustle up some of them there fancy art skills, partner." Select the Move tool. Open the Character palette and set the font to Tooth and Nail by Set Sail Studios at 55 point. Decrease the leading, the space between lines, to 58 point. Click on the color thumbnail and in the color picker use the eyedropper to sample the teal of the cactus on the cowboy illustration. Lastly, open the Paragraph palette and select Center Align. Now go to Type, Warp Text. Next to Style, choose Flag, reduce the bend to +5 and press OK. Go to Edit, Transform, Rotate. On the artboard, use one of the corner handles to rotate the text to the right slightly, about 5 degrees, then press Enter. Go to File, Place Linked, and navigate to Simple Shape 24 in the Julia Dreams Freebies folder and press Place. Position it so the two paint drops that are closest together are on top of the rope from the cowboy illustration. And press Enter when you're done. Now we'll add a little scribble down in the corner behind the cowboy. Go to the Freebies folder from Finder or Explorer. Open the Wings Art folder, then double-click on Collected Elements Freebies to open it in Illustrator. In Illustrator, select the Main Selection tool, and select the largest scribble shape and press Command-C to copy it. Go back to Photoshop and press Command-V to paste. In the pop-up, select Smart Object and press OK. Go to Edit, Transform, Rotate, and use the corner handle to rotate the scribble to the left about 10 degrees. Position the scribble at the bottom left, mostly off the artboard, and then press Enter. At the bottom of the Layers palette, click the Effects icon and select Color Overlay. For blend mode, choose Normal, then click the color thumbnail, and in the color picker, use the eyedropper to sample the blue from the cowboy's rope or bandana. Press OK on the color picker, then OK in the Layer Style pop-up. In the Layers palette, click once on the cowboy group to make the entire group active, and at the top of the palette, change the blend mode from Pass-Through to Multiply so we can see some of the paper texture through the illustrations. Now we'll go ahead and add our class details in the space to the right of the cowboy. Select the Type tool, click once on the artboard to the right of the cowboy, and type Wednesdays, 7 p.m., June 28th through July 19th. 4 weeks of 2-hour classes, $89 includes all supplies. Sign up at designcuts.com. Now switch to the Move tool. In the Character palette, we'll keep the font as Tooth and Nail Regular. We'll change the size to 50 point and set the leading to 56 point. Select the color thumbnail and use the eyedropper to sample the dark blue from the cowboy's rope or bandana. Select the Type tool and highlight the first 2 lines of text, the day, time, and dates. In the Character palette, increase the font size to 75 point and the leading to 70 point. Select the color thumbnail and use the eyedropper to sample the red of the cowboy's shirt or hair. Now we'll bring some extra attention to the first couple of lines by adding a little doodle around them. Go into Illustrator and select the rectangular box from the Wings Art Collected Elements freebies file. Press Command-C to copy. Go back into Photoshop and press Command-V to paste. Select Smart Object and press OK. Hold Shift and use the corner handle to rotate the rectangle to the left 90 degrees. Position the rectangle over the red lines of text, then use the corner handles to increase the size and stretch the shape to fit comfortably around the text. Press Enter when you're done. At the bottom of the Layers palette, click the Effects icon and select Color Overlay. We'll keep the blend mode as normal, and click the color thumbnail and use the eyedropper to sample the darker yellow from the cowboy's hat. At the left side of the layer style pop-up, click the top option, Blend Options. Under Advanced Blending, turn on Blend Interior Effects as a group, then press OK. In the Layers palette, hold Shift and select the Class Details text layer and the rectangle layer. At the bottom of the palette, click the Create a New Group icon and name the group Class Details. At the top of the palette, change the blend mode for the group to Multiply. Now we'll add some interest to the right side of the poster by stacking up a few pieces of painted paper topped with a crayon that was presumably responsible for some of our scribbles. Go to File, Place Linked, and navigate to the Feather and Sage Design Company Freebies folder. Select Pattern 20 and press Place. Hold Shift and use the corner handles to rotate the paper left 45 degrees. Position on the far right side of the artboard, overlapping the yellow rectangle, and press Enter. At the bottom of the Layers palette, click the Effects icon and select Drop Shadow. In the Layer Style pop-up, set the Blend mode to Multiply, the opacity to 50%, and the angle to 90 degrees. Set the distance to 4 pixels, the spread to 0, and the size to 20 pixels, then press OK. In the Layers palette, click the Create a New Group icon. Rename the new group Painted Papers, then drag the Pattern 20 layer into the Painted Papers group. Go to File, Place Linked, and navigate to the UNI Graphics Freebies folder. Select Forest Pattern 16 and press Place. Use the corner handles to rotate the paper to the left about 22 degrees, then position on the far right side of the artboard above Pattern 20 and press Enter when you're done. Now we'll copy the shadow effect from the first paper onto this one. In the Layers palette, hold Option, then click on Effects under the Pattern 20 layer. Drag it up to the new Forest Pattern 16 layer to duplicate it. Now let's add one last pattern paper. Go to File, Place Linked, and navigate to the Pixel Buddha Freebies folder. Select Pattern 17 and press Place. Use the corner handles to rotate the paper left about 15 degrees, then position on the top right corner of the artboard over Forest Pattern 16 and press Enter. In the Layers palette, hold Option, then click on Effects under the Forest Pattern 16 layer and drag it up to the new Pattern 17 layer to duplicate it. Now for the crayon. Go to File, Place Linked, navigate to the Wings Art folder, and select Wax Crayons Red Only. Press Place. At the top left of the artboard, enter a width of 190% and click the link icon between width and height to maintain aspect ratio. Enter an angle of -100 degrees. Position the crown on top of the painted papers and press Enter. In the Layers palette, hold Option, then click on Effects under the Pattern 17 layer and drag it up to the Wax Crayons layer to duplicate it. Double-click Drop Shadow under the Effects on the Wax Crayons layer to bring up the Layer Style pop-up. We'll need to edit the crayon shadow since it would be a little bit different than the shadow on a piece of paper. In the Layer Style pop-up, increase the distance to 30 pixels and the size to 55 pixels, then click OK. Lastly, for this group, we'll add a little doodle mark under our crayon. Go into the Wings Art Collected Elements file in Illustrator and select the crayon mark. Press Command-C to copy it, and you can now close this file. In Photoshop, press Command-V to paste. Select Smart Object and press OK. At the top of the artboard, enter a width of 50%, then click the link icon between width and height. Next to angle, enter 120 degrees. Position so the mark is flowing down and to the right from the tip of the crayon. At the bottom of the Layers palette, click the Effects icon and choose Color Overlay. Keep the blend mode as normal, then click the Color thumbnail and use the eyedropper to sample the red of the cowboy's hair or shirt. At the left side of the layer style pop-up, click the top option, Blend Options. Under Advanced Blending, turn on Blend Interior Effects as Group, then press OK. In the Layers palette, select the current red crayon mark layer and drag it down below the bottom painted paper layer, which is pattern 20. At the top of the Layers palette, change the blend mode to multiply. Go ahead and close the Painted Papers group. At the bottom of the palette, click the Create a New Group icon. Rename the new group Class Title. Select the Type tool. Click once on the open area at the top left of the artboard and type Quick Draw. Switch to the Move tool. In the Character palette, change the font to Northwall Regular by Set Cell Studios and increase the font size to 215 point. Click the Color thumbnail and in the color picker use the eyedropper to sample the red from the cowboy's shirt or hair. Go to Edit, Transform, Rotate. On the artboard, use the corner handles to rotate the text to the left about 5 degrees. Position so the end of Draw fits between the tip of the crayon and the forest pattern paper. Now select the Type tool, click once on the artboard below Quick Draw, and type The Art of the Doodle. Switch back to the Move tool. In the Character palette, change the font to Tooth and Nail Regular at 95 point. Go to Edit, Transform, Rotate, and rotate to the left again about 5 degrees. Position below Quick Draw, lining up with the end of the crayon. In the Layers palette, select the Class Title group, and at the top of the palette, change the blend mode to multiply. So go ahead and close the Class Title group. At the bottom of the palette, click the Create a New Group icon and rename the new group Doodles. In Finder or Explorer, navigate to the Micro Move Freebies folder and open Atomic Particles Black 12 in Photoshop. Open the Channels palette. Hold Command and click the thumbnail on the Alpha 1 layer to create a selection around the shape. Go to the Layers palette. At the bottom of the Layers palette, click the Create a New Layer icon. Press D to change your foreground color to black, then press Option Backspace to fill the selection with the foreground color, and then press Command D to deselect. I'll turn off the original background layer so you can see better what we just created. Go to Layer, Duplicate Layer. In the pop-up, name the layer Atomic Particle 12, and for document destination, choose the main layout file, then press OK. Now you can close this file without saving it, or you can save it as a PSD if you want to be able to go back to it later. In the main layout file, position the atomic particle at the top left of the artboard. All of our doodles after this are going to be really loose, hand-drawn, and completely and totally unique. Press I to select the eyedropper tool. Use it to sample the dark blue from the cowboy illustration. Now select the Brush tool. At the top left of the artboard, click the brush thumbnail to access the brush preset picker. Select the round point stiff for the brush type, and next to size, enter 35 pixels. To the right of the brush thumbnail, make sure your mode is set to normal and both opacity and flow are 100%. At the bottom of the Layers palette, click the Create a New Layer icon. Rename the layer Face. On the artboard, zoom into the paint spatters just above the cowboy illustration. We're going to add a goofy little face using the two small little spatters that are closest together as eyeballs. There's honestly no special technique here. These are supposed to look like doodles. I'm just using my mouse. You may get better results using a tablet. Just whatever works for you. We're really just having fun here, doodling. It's supposed to look hand-drawn and a little bit messy, so just have fun with it, and there's really no bad outcome. Alright, select the eyedropper tool again and sample the teal color from the cactus illustration. In the Layers palette, click the Create a New Layer icon and name this one Big Arrow. And switch back to the brush tool. Draw a squiggly arrow shape from the title to the class details. I'm going to add some little elements like spirals and dots. Don't be afraid to retrace your lines either. Again, we want everything to look a little bit messy and imperfect. And don't forget, if you do something you don't like, you can either undo it with Control-Z. You could open your history palette and go back several steps if needed, or you can select the eraser and just erase anything you don't want and redraw it. Next, I'm going to add some doodles around the class details to bring attention to those. Don't worry about overlapping elements. We'll drag this layer below everything else when we're done. Alright, now select the eyedropper tool and sample the darker yellow from the cowboy's hat. In the Layers palette, click the Create a New Layer icon and name this one Title Doodles. Switch back to the brush tool, zoom in on the title, and just draw some fun doodles around it. I'm going to add some lines around the bottom edges of the letters. I'm going to fill in some circles. I'm going to add a face and a little flower. Just kind of some goofy stuff. In the Layers palette, click the Create a New Layer icon and name this one Atomic Doodles. Now I'm just going to draw some rough line shapes around the atomic particle. Again, it's just about having fun with it and just kind of doodling how you would in real life if you were sitting in a meeting with a piece of paper and a pen. Zoom out occasionally and make sure the piece has an overall balanced feel. I think this could use a little more yellow at the top, just a touch more. And then I think maybe some teal to kind of even it out. Create a new layer in the Layers palette and name it Title Arrows. Hit the right bracket key on your keyboard a few times to increase the brush size to about 60 pixels. Draw some rough arrows pointing towards the title so it has a ton of attention on it, and also brings a little more of that teal color to the top of the artboard. Go ahead and close the Doodles group by clicking the arrow to the left of the group name, then drag the group down below the Cowboy group and above the Background group. At the top of the Layers palette, change the blend mode to Multiply. For our last step, we're going to add a little bit of a crumpled paper texture on top of everything. Go to File, Place Linked, and navigate to Paper 29 in the Zeppelin Graphics Freebies folder, and press Place. Hold Shift and use the corner handles to rotate the image 90 degrees to the right. Release Shift, then use the corner handles to increase and stretch the size of the paper till it fills the entire artboard. Press Enter when you're done. In the Layers palette, drag the Paper 29 layer up above all the other layers. Change the blend mode from Normal to Multiply, and reduce the opacity to 50%. Now it's important to note that if we had any of the crumpled texture directly affecting the red crayon or strongly affecting the painted papers, we'd want to pull those out of their group and drag them above the Paper 29 layer, since those would be physical objects sitting on top of the paper. Fortunately for us, there's very little interaction, so we can get away with leaving things mostly where they are. And we're done! We've created a fun, messy, doodled poster using tons of beautiful resources and Photoshop tools like the brush with easy-to-use techniques like layer styles and blend modes. Whether it's your outcome for this tutorial or something new, head over to our Facebook page and share it with us. Let us know what you think in the comments below and give us a thumbs up if you like the tutorial. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/designcuts to get more video tutorials and regular updates, or visit us at designcuts.com. Thanks for watching. Till next time.